Good day and welcome to Power Up. I'm your host, Dr. Marcy Bryant, and I'm glad that you decided to join us today. I want to encourage you out there on your couch as you're looking at the show today that we will not disappoint you for tuning in to us. We want you to know that this is the show where you learn it, live it, and pass it on. We want you to be powered up for that successful person that God has created you to be. Don't you know that God has made you one in a million or 2 million or 3 or even 4, 5, 6, 7 billion? Don't you know that there's only one in the world exactly like you? And so what we want to do is to minister to that one person, that one individual you, and we want you to go out and do great things with your life. Don't let anybody, anything, or any circumstance tell you that you cannot accomplish what dream is in your heart that needs to be accomplished. That's what we're going to be talking about today on the show. We have a young man with us out of the Maryland, D.C. area, and he is going to be talking to us about his dreams, where he came from, how he got started, and what God is doing in his life today. Because truly, his story is amazing, and we want you to be just as amazing, if not more, in your own right. So, without further ado, we are going to welcome James Thornton to the show. James, welcome to Power Up.
Thank you, Dr. Brian, and I greatly appreciate this opportunity to be here, and I count it a privilege and an honor, and we want to bless somebody's life today.
Yes, we do. I like the way you put that. We want to bless somebody's life because we all are here to be a blessing. And so as you bless others, you can't help but get blessings to come back into your own life.
Right.
Now, we're going to talk for a minute about where you are right now. I understand that you have written a book, and for those of you who are watching this book, I forgive you, Father, you know not what you did. Could you give us the premise or an overview of what this book is actually about?
Certainly. It was over 20 years ago, early 90s, I had a conversation with my father. My story is not unlike many. I grew up without my father. We hold anger, animosity, we hold all of that inside for our fathers not being there. Well, one day I found out he was in the hospital, and I went to go visit him, not thinking that what was going to happen. But when I got there, I was led to have a conversation with him. We had a 2-hour conversation. And in this conversation, I was led to say that I forgive you for not being there. There was a release that day. I shared with him all the things that I had done. I shared with him how I was holding anger for him not being there, the things that I saw coming up, the abuse, things of that sort. And on that particular day, I let it go. God allowed me to release it and let it go. And we shared a powerful moment that day. From that day, I had no more anger, no more animosity. There was a great release for me, and I believe for him as well. That is the premise of this book. The book is about the conversation that I had with my father, but it even goes a little bit deeper than that because it can go beyond just a father-son relationship.
What do you hope people reading this book will get from it? What's the takeaway? Because, like you said, your story is very meaningful, and it's great that you were able to let go, and it was good for your father and you. But like a person like myself, or anybody for that matter, what should we take away when we read this book?
What people should take away from this book is that you are not empowered by holding on to grudges.
Okay.
That you are not, because see, people feel like they are empowered or they have power over someone when I can hold something over your head.
I see.
But you really don't. You really don't. There's a great empowerment when you can actually release or forgive what has been done to you.
Okay.
And so
I like that. A great empowerment when you can release what has been done to you. Now we're going to go back before the book was ever written. Now that we know why you wrote it and what you want us to take away from reading these pages, give us a taste, if you will, of what it was like growing up without your father. Before you even got to this point, just tell us a little bit about that aspect of your life.
Well, the first thing is when you look to guidance, manly guidance, it wasn't immediately there. I had uncles, I had grandfathers, but in the home there was no immediate guidance there. There was no real strength factor or male figure to look to immediately in the home. What I had to deal with was an indecisiveness. What should I do? Where should I go? And I felt that if I had a father there, he could help guide me into the path that I believe that I should have gone, or at least giving me that fatherly advice.
Okay. Now, what do you see as having been a major detriment, something that maybe you did in your youth that you believe if your father had been there, that would not have happened?
Well, I did several things.
Okay, well, just pick one of them. Just one that you would want to share with the audience that might help some young man out there who is going through, who doesn't have his father right there with him.
I'll talk about the thing that I regret the most.
Okay, all right.
I became a crook and I robbed people.
Really?
Yes.
Now that is surprising.
Yes. Now,
You became
now
a
you're
crook.
looking at me now. You see a
Yes.
good-looking, well-cut, clean guy, but I was a crook.
A crook.
Yes,
Now,
and I was an undercover crook because in front of people I was nice, we would talk, but behind your back I would rob you. Rob
now
you
why
for-
would you do that?
Because I felt that I was trying to be something that I really wasn't, and I was trying to gain something that I thought I could gain by doing this.
So you weren't being a crook because there was a need that you had to have those things that you were taking.
didn't have to do it.
You didn't have to do it, but you looked at it as aspiring to be something more than you were.
Let's back up.
Okay.
We came up poor, my
Okay.
mother and us, and I felt that if I could get money,
Okay.
but that only lasted only a few minutes.
Only a few
But then I realized, or a few moments in my life, but I realized I didn't have to do that. I did it because I was trying to be a gangster.
Ah.
I wanted to be
Be
a
a
gangster.
gangster.
I wanted to be the man.
Okay.
And I wanted to be somebody that people could look up to, not knowing that people looked up to me, and I didn't even have to do that.
You didn't have to do that. Okay. What made the gangster look like it was a good path to follow? What was it about that image that drew you there?
Prestige, money, women, the accolades.
I see.
You'll see movies and people will go into places and they got the best of everything, the best seats, the best police, the best food, the best everything, just the respect. And I wanted that. Not only that, I wanted in my mind to somehow be a provider,
Okay.
but illegally.
Okay.
Illegal.
All right. So obviously, even though that image was there and you went out trying to be a crook and all that, something must have happened that changed your whole mindset about being a crook. What happened to turn you around or to make you rethink that position?
All the while I was out there selling drugs, running around with women, robbing people, I kept hearing the voice of God saying, "This is not you." I came up in a family of believers. My mother, my grandfathers, bishops in the church.
Okay.
Came up in a religious family, but I walked away from it trying to be something that I wasn't. Well, out there doing all of my dirt, I kept hearing that small voice of God saying, "This is not you, son.
All right.
This is not you." And it came to a head when I was with someone that I really cared about. I had a friend that I really cared about. And we were outside talking, and then people came up to me asking me for some drugs, because I was selling drugs too. And when she saw that, she immediately left. And I lost her friendship.
Oh my goodness.
It was just a friend. We were very
just
good
friends.
friends, platonic
Yes.
friendship, and that hurt me
That
to the
hurt you.
core. The other thing was, I went to go do a drug deal, and I went to go get 5 bags of cocaine to sell it to a person. When I got to the person, I only had 4 bags. When I got back to my mom's house, there was the bag laying on the floor. At that moment, I realized it was time to give it all up. All up. I gave up the robbing of people. I gave up the selling of drugs. I gave up the running around in the streets.
So So since you had left that bag on the floor and it was at your mom's house, I guess would have been a major problem for you to be exposed with your mom, being exposed with a friend. Yes, that hurt, but mom, that's a different story.
Right. And what came to my mind is this: if the cops were to roll up, I and everybody in the house would have went to jail. That would have meant my mother and my two siblings. And it was an eye opener, and it woke me up. And I said, "This is it." That day, I stopped.
So the individuals, there are individuals out there who say, well, it's not that easy to stop. Like you said, that day, that got your attention to the point where you said, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. Did you have any kind of problems divesting yourself or getting out of this thing, walking away from it? I mean, were there people trying to lean on you saying, look, you owe me? What did you have to deal with anything like that?
Sure, there were people leaning on me, because after I got out of it, they would still come to me and say, are you out of the game? People want this, they want that from you. And I said, look, I'm out of the game. I'm through with it. So, but after a while, that actually dwindled. Not only that, I tell you, it was a blessing in disguise, because we were under investigation.
Wow.
By the task force.
Oh, my goodness.
I was told by a former neighbor of ours, that we were under investigation, who was connected to the police.
Oh, my goodness.
That we were under investigation because of that. And I tell you, it was nothing but God working on my behalf. So.
Yes, indeed. And so now, telling us earlier that you had come from a family of the bishop, your grandfather, your mother, no doubt your family was praying for you.
Amen.
No doubt that there's somebody sending up prayers. And so whatever it took to get you to let go of that lifestyle, to come back into what you were taught as a child, was the right way to go. Those prayers got answered, and it got answered in such a way where it got your attention. See, certain things get certain people's attention. You had to lose a real dear friend, and you had to almost be exposed in front of your mother, but God knew that those two things would get your attention.
Yes.
And sure enough, prayers were answered. Your attention was right there, and you made up your mind that you weren't going to go that direction any longer. Now, once you put your foot on solid ground, going in the direction that you ought to go, what was the first major event that confirmed for you that I'm on the right track now and I can't go back?
God blessed me to get a job.
You got a job.
Simply put, He blessed me to get a job. I didn't have a job. I was just aimlessly walking about. And it really wasn't a high-paying job, but it gave me a sense of some type of stability.
Okay.
And then from there, I just grew and grew and grew. So I looked at God as that, because in my mindset, it's like a man coming out of prison, been locked up for a while, has no resources, and he can't find a job. So he kind of reverts back to the criminal activity, because that's what he knew. But God didn't allow that. He allowed me to get a job, and from there I gained some type of stability and went on from there. So I give God all the credit for that.
God. So the job was the very first thing that helped you to know that, hey, I'm on the right track. I'm going to keep on going.
And then he put good people in front of me,
Good.
And around me. I'm talking about I had a good friend, and he introduced me to two other brothers, and they really helped change my mindset. These brothers weren't streets. They were college guys. They were business guys. And it was like, wow. I was the hood in the. It was three of them, and I was the hood in it.
Okay.
But they kind of changed my mindset, and I wanted to kind of emulate that. So that was just God moving once again in my life. So.
All right. So if you're just joining us, we are talking with James Thornton, who is the author of "I Forgive You, Father. You know not what you did," meaning that whatever was done, he came to the place in his life where he was able to put it behind him and start living a much better, much fuller, blessed life. And he has told us from whence he came, and it's very difficult for me to believe that this young man sitting to my left was ever a crook, but isn't that the way it is with God? When God delivers you from some things,
That's right.
people will have a hard time believing that you ever walked in that particular direction. And it's also a beautiful thing that this young man is willing to talk about it, because let's face it, people out here have real issues. They have real struggles.
Yes.
And the best thing for them is to see someone in front of them who can say, I identify with you. I was there and I got beyond it, and I'm walking in the newness of life. And because they're walking in the newness of life, it's giving those individuals hope. This is what I hear in the story that James is telling me, that there is hope out there for you. You do not have to continue to walk a road that will lead to destruction. You can walk a road that will allow you to be a blessing to so many others. And that's what I got as I have started reading this book myself. Now, I will admit my schedule is such that I haven't been able to read the entire book yet, but I'm telling you, when I pick up the pages, I'm enthralled about this journey that this young man has walked. And I believe that this book will be a blessing, and it will go a long ways to helping other people. So with that, I want to get back to, now that you're on a different path, now that you went to see your father, and your father is in the hospital, and on that day you let go a lot of what you had held on to for a number of years. So how did it manifest itself that, you know what, I need to put it in a book. I need to sit down and I need to write it down?
That came after my father passed away. From the time that we had the conversation up until the time that he passed away, 18 years had passed. And we worked on our relationship, building our relationship. It wasn't peaches and cream, but it was better than what we had. We went from not seeing each other at all to trying to make time to see each other. After he passed away, I was compelled to honor him. I wanted to honor him in his passing.
Okay.
Make sure everything, all the arrangements was taken care of. My mother left it into my hands. And it was just me as his oldest, wanting to do this for him. After he passed away, it came to me, and I know it was God, because I'm not really that educated. I don't have a college degree. They said I was diagnosed with dyslexia in the 10th grade. So the reading and writing, really wasn't my thing. So, but God pressed upon me to write this, and I said, Lord, why? How are you using me? It's almost like a Moses type of thing. Moses, I can't talk, Lord. Well, God says, I'm using you anyway.
I'll use you anyway.
Well, he said, speak from your heart, write from your heart. And that's what I did. He gave me the title of the book. When you look at the book, when you look at the title, it says, I forgive you, Father. It's a reminder of when Jesus was on the cross. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Here they are killing them. And he says, Father, forgive them. So he gave me the title, and he flipped it, as we say in the streets, flipped it and reversed it. I forgive you, Father. You know not what you did. So he impressed upon me to write this book after my father died, and to hopefully be a blessing to somebody.
Oh, yes.
In this life. I know that there are a lot of people suffering from not having their fathers in their lives, grown men, young men. And the goal is not to try to teach anybody, or, it's not a 5-10 point book where, I got all the answers. It's just me speaking from my heart and trying to share with people what I know and what I went through.
Okay.
And hopefully they'll be able to benefit from it and be blessed by it.
Oh, right. So how can they get in touch with you? I want you to tell people how to get in touch with you and get a copy of this book. Now, we all are connected to young men across the nation, even if it's not across the state, but there are a lot of young men that I'm sure some of you viewers who are looking at the show this morning know who could benefit from this book. And I want James to tell you now how to contact him, how to get your copy of this book, and he is going to tell you how to do that right now.
Well, currently the book is on Amazon, Amazon Books, and you can actually go to that website and purchase the book there. Also, if you have a Kindle, you can purchase it through Kindle on your ebook. Or you can contact me my email through email. It's oakstrength96@gmail.com. Oak like like an oak tree.
Like an oak tree, okay.
Strength 96
Yes.
at gmail.com. And I will make sure we can get you a book. But right now, the best way is to go into Amazon Books, purchase it there. I have a publishing company who wants to pick the book up.
Okay, very good.
And they want to promote the book worldwide.
Yes.
Because let me tell you something about this book. I self-published this book.
Okay.
So everything that you see in this book, I did.
All right.
The only thing I didn't do was the cover. The man took the photograph and I had a company do the cover. But it's a great accomplishment to even write this book and self-publish this book. But there's a company who wants to actually take the book, enhance it, and then get it out to the public, hopefully to the world, so that we can, so that God can get the glory and bless more people.
Oh my God, yes. And I really endorse that because, again, I have not finished the book, but from what I have read thus far, I really recommend that this book should get into the hands of a lot of young men. And I'm sure that we as women, females, we can read this book and learn some things for ourselves, especially if we are raising young men. Amen?
I do talk about, it's not just men to boys only, or father to son, but father to daughter, mother to daughter,
yes,
brother to sister, friends to friend, because in every relationship there's going to be a need for forgiveness. There's a breakdown in that relationship. So it doesn't matter what type of relationship it is, whether it's husband and wife, forgiveness is going to be needed. And it's a very short book. He wanted me to be, God says, be short, you don't have to be long.
Okay.
It's a very short read. And the actual titles of the chapters, God is faithful to forgive, atonement, transformation, healing, embrace and embark, and then restoration. All of these things that we need in our lives to actually enhance our lives and to enhance our relationships.
Okay. And since the book has come out, how has this changed your outlook for the future? What's going to happen from here going forward? What do you envision?
Well, the first thing that has given me is a greater sense of wanting to do something in life.
Okay.
Because a lot of people may not know I didn't really have a whole lot of desire to do a lot of things, nor did I think that I had the ability to do a lot of things. But this book has given me the actual mindset to want to do more, to help people, to talk to people, to want to live a better life for me and for my family, and to be a blessing, like I said, to because we are servants, and I want to be able to serve somebody and to help somebody through this book.
That's very good. He wants to serve and he wants to help someone through this book. Now, there is one thing that I know about this young man that he has not even mentioned at all. But before we close this interview, I also want you to know that God has also gifted him with a beautiful voice. So he doesn't use it very much, except to preach a word now and again, amen. But he can carry a tune. He can sing praises unto the Lord, as well as tickle the ears of those who might be listening. So do you ever think that you would do anything with that aspect of your life?
Yes, I was told by two bishops that when I sing, this is what they told me, that they sing that they feel blessed, they feel the glory of God. And two separate times they said, you should do an album. I talked to the Lord about it.
Okay.
And I believe that we're going to do something. I can gather a small group together and
do something.
really do something. I think that is something that I would like to do. When I think about it, I think it's something that I would like to do. Okay. And so I believe that God is. I'm at 46 now. I'm beginning to see my purpose in life, and that is just to be a blessing to somebody, help somebody. No, I don't have to be famous, I have to be great. But if this is the way to go about it,
yes,
this is the way that I want to go about it, because I want to be able to be a help to somebody.
Well, very good. Well, you've heard it directly from James Thornton III. And yes, he does have a great voice. and he has now become a published author. You can get his book. The information is on your screen. Please contact him. Go to Amazon, go to Kindle, read his book. You will know how to get in touch with him if you ever want him to come and visit your church or your organization. I'm sure that he would be happy to do that. So, James, we're coming down to the close of our interview.
Yes.
And because we are, I want you to give us a final word of encouragement, something that you might like to say, in about 30, no more than 45 seconds. So what's your final word to the group?
Sure. God is looking for somebody to do something in this time. And he's actually looking for you. We lived our lives thinking that I can't do anything. I have no purpose. I don't mean anything to anybody. Well, that's a lie. That's a lie. You were created by God to do something for God, to bless people. And I want to let you know right now, you're looking at somebody who had no purpose, who had no real thought of doing anything. And God has put it in me to want to do something to be a blessing to somebody else. I come to tell you today that you are not by yourself. You are not by yourself. I understand you feel nobody cares. You don't have it, but I'm telling you, God has gifted you and graced you, and take that gifting and that grace to be a blessing to the nations. I guarantee you, you'll see how God will move in your life. You will be a blessing, and God will get the glory out of it.